You don't have to do it. You get to do it. You think about, okay, why do I have to cook this meal? Or why do I have to go to work every day? Or why do I have to pick the kids up? Or why do I have to go listen to this person? Why do you? Not that you have to do it. You do it because you choose to do it. Why do you choose to do it? Because if I pick my kids up from school, they won't be left at school. So is that something you want? Yes, that's something I want. So I want to do it. And do you have a car to do it? Yes, so I get to do it. This is what produces estrogen and the other female hormone called progesterone, is when you feel I don't have to do something. When you feel I have to do something, you make testosterone. Men need to feel I have to do. That's why my message is so important. I say, men, you know, you have to take time to listen to your wife express what she feels. You have to say, honey, what's going on? What's the matter? And then when she talks, you have to not talk, okay? You want a happy wife? Stop talking so much. Stop being the big boss. Let her be boss for a little while and she'll come back to being your soft, loving wife. She needs to express those feelings because she's in her boss side. She's in her testosterone side. So it doesn't mean you have to do everything she says. It doesn't mean you have to believe everything she says. You need to understand her pain. And so she talks and you say, here's what you do. Men don't know how to do this. Nobody's ever taught us. And you say the same thing with your children to get them to talk. You say, help me understand that better. Then you say, what else? Or you say, tell me more. And what will happen is she'll run out of things to say. And then you say to her, is there anything more you need to say? And she says, no, that's it. You say, well, I just want you to know how much I love you. And I appreciate all that you do. It's amazing. And you go give her a hug and she'll melt. Don't tell her you shouldn't be upset about this. You shouldn't be upset about that. You shouldn't be. All these you shouldn't feel is wrong. It doesn't work to do. And it used to be the way we parent our children. You shouldn't be upset. Instead of like, why are you upset? Why else are you upset? What else are you upset about? And then you basically say, and this is what we can do to solve the problem. You're the parent, you're the boss. We can't always get what we want. We're family, we have to take turns. It's amazing once you learn the take turns phrase. These are like little things, but when one child starts feeling, I want the toy first, I want to play with it. You know, we'd have these big Christmas celebrations. And the presents are out, the kids are getting all these presents. And of course, one kid has his present and the other child wants the present. And then I'm playing with my present, not going to share with you. And you say, you know, we're a family. We share. That's what we do. Now you get your turn and I'll time it for 3 minutes and then we're going to change. And once they have you taking charge in a calm, collected way, they will follow. But if you get upset with them, you're out of control. Then your children go further out of control. It's like we create craziness by becoming overly emotional with our children. So the next thing is you learn sometimes the communication where you hear them and they still resist you. Okay, that's going to happen sometimes. Now, my mother would just say, I'm going to tell your father. That would do it. But you don't want to have to use punishment and backup all the time. So what you do is you basically use your command voice. Very important. Now, you see, if there's a problem in my company, I use my command voice. I hear everybody's point of view, but I'm the boss. See, whatever I say goes. I mean, everybody knows that. So, you know, you get paid by me. So the final word is I'm the guy. So I never get upset. I say, yeah, I know you want to do that, but we're going to do this. But why are we going to do this? I understand why you want to do that, but I'm the boss. We're going to do this. You see, because I'm the boss, I have confidence. I run the show. I don't get upset. If you get upset, it means you're afraid. It means you're angry. It means you're insecure. As a parent, you're the boss. Get it? They are born to seek to please you. That's every cell in their body wants to do what you want them to do. And when they don't want to do what you want them to do, it's because they're out of balance. And so you have to bring them back into balance and start giving them what they need to come back into balance. Then when they feel what they need, then they realize what I need most is you to be proud of me, for you to be guide me, direct me. You know so much more. You're the parent. You're bigger than me as well. All those things. When a child feels I need you, then they will do whatever you say. But if you don't, children lose touch with what they need. They think they're the big boss. I don't need you. I can tell you what to do. I want this. You do it. You jump for me. So many parents, their whole happiness is based on pleasing their children. And yes, it's very nice to please your children, but they shouldn't feel that, you know, you're like best friends. You're mom and dad. You're the bosses and you love them unconditionally. But at the same time, you don't let them control. So peacefully. So the control voice is after you've had your conversation with them and they say, now we're going to do this. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. And they resist control. You, instead of what my dad did, is one belt and you would listen to him after that. Command voice, you won't have to use it that often. You just use it once or twice and they know that voice. And that voice is, negotiation is over. Now this is what I want you to do. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. This is what I want you to do. Why should I have to do that? What did we do this? I said, negotiation is over. I understand how you feel. You know that. Now we're going to do what I say. I'm the father or I'm the mother. So you do what I say. You just tell them. They'll believe you. It's in their genes. They have to follow the parents. Otherwise, they're going to be thrown away. It's deep inside. They just forgot that part of them. And you've helped them connect with their need for you. Now you give them the command voice, which is not yelling at your children. If you yell at your children to get them to do things, you've reduced yourself back to monkey status. What do monkeys do when they can't communicate? They make louder noises. They make all these noises to get attention and whatever. You know, if you actually lower your voice, now this is what I want you to do. And I'm firm in my voice, but I'm not angry. I'm not shaming. I'm not disappointed. I'm confident. That's the command voice. You're the CEO. You're the boss. You're the person in charge. So you don't get upset with your children, because that's old-fashioned parenting. Intimidate your children. You're a bigger monkey and they have to follow you, as opposed to they need you and they're motivated by you to please you, to support you, and so forth, but not because you're this tyrant, because you're reasonable and you're loving and you're kind and you're generous, but you're also strict in that you don't let them control situations. You're in control. So now let's look at punishment. The real essence of punishment is we're training our children that if you make mistakes, you should be punished. And then you grow up and you make mistakes and you punish yourself. You see, the idea that I have to beat myself up in order to feel worthy of love is kind of a backward idea. You know, I remember watching the kids, you should be punished. And now that you've suffered enough, now I love you again. And I only beat you up because I love you. What a confusing message that is. Because see, my dad, he whipped us because that's what he was taught. So I'm only whipping you because I love you and I want you to be a better person. And yes, that's a system that we grew out of, and it doesn't work today. It's even illegal in America to spank your kids or with a belt or something like that. We're learning that in the long run, that hurts our self-esteem. That makes us less confident. That makes us less cooperative. It makes us doormats for some people. It makes us rebellious in other people. So, but you can't just suddenly go, no punishment. You've got to have control. They have to have motivation. And it's your love that motivates them. It's your appreciation that motivates them. It's your wisdom and how you deal with meeting your children's needs. And there's 4 different types of children, if we can simplify it down. One type of child is the child who is a leader. Instinctively, they're the one who's going to want to be a boss. They're going to be a policeman one day, a soldier one day, a CEO of a company. They want to be in charge. They have a greater need for their sense of well-being to produce testosterone. Even if it's a girl, some girls have a stronger male side. They need to feel more acknowledged. Other people don't need it so much. You know, I'm that kind of person. Actually, I'm all 4. So you can be a balance of all of them. But I need to feel successful. You know, I mean, I'm superstar. I want to be the biggest and the best around the world. You know, I'm in 100 different countries, a bestseller in 48 languages. I mean, I'm all over the place. And I need that. Okay. I want that. That's my goal. Except I'm not attached to it. That's the great thing. That's why I can be successful. That's what Krishna said, you know, be not attached to the outcome of your, you can want it, just don't be attached to it. What does that mean? That means want it, but if you don't get it, be patient. It doesn't have to happen now. Don't make your happiness now dependent upon getting what you want in the future. Be happy with the opportunity I have now to move towards the future. That's delayed gratification. And that's what you teach your children. You become Krishna for them. You teach your child that you can't have everything you want when you want it, but eventually you can get it. And in the meantime, you can be happy because I'm going to hear your feelings. And if you can have your feelings be heard, you come back to your balanced state, your hormones come into balance, and you're happy again. Happiness is inherent. Confidence is inherent if we get what we need. So the command voice is basically you repeat yourself again and again. So like one of my daughters, She was like becoming rebellious as a teenager, so I had to use the command voice. She had her bicycle and she left it in the driveway, blocking the garage. And I said, I want you to move the bicycle. And she said, it's not blocking your car. Mom's not here, because we had 2-car garage. And I said, I want you to move it now. Why do I have to move it? And I hurt her feelings a little bit. And I understand you don't want to do it now. You want to do it later. And I get that. But actually, it's going to take about 1 minute to do. And I want you to move the bicycle where it's supposed to go. I'm not going to do it. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Don't answer that question. You just repeat. You never answer their questions. You never argue with them. You just simply, now you're the commander. But you have patience, and you're going to keep saying to them, what I want you to do, calm voice, firm voice. I want you to move the bicycle over there right now. I want you to move the bicycle over there right now. I want you to move the and over and over and over. So I'm not going to stop until you move the bicycle over there. Okay. Now that particular voice, that was the last time I had to do it with that daughter. She actually started yelling at me and walked down the steps, and that was it. There wasn't any consequence. Later on, she came and said, I'm really sorry. I moved the bicycle. I realized it wasn't a big deal. I said, thank you. Okay, so you don't always have to get your way, but you have to assert your voice again and again and again without getting upset. You see, that's the thing. If you get upset like they're upset, they're justified in being upset with you because they're little monkeys. See, and when I talk about people being monkeys, let me explain what I'm saying. It's a scientific reference that the instinctive part of our brain that digests our food, for example, if I have a wound, the bone grows back. How does that happen? You don't do it. Your instincts do it. There's so much digesting your food. Who does that? Who generates all these dreams? You don't do it. So all this instinctive stuff happens. We have no control over. Then we have this monkey brain. So most of our brain is the DNA of monkeys. No different. We're monkeys. And we're also snakes. This instinctive part of it is this totally unconscious. Is snake DNA or dinosaur DNA, heartless. This is like when a man is violent, whatever, he's completely coming from the fight or flight center over here, which has no compassion at all, no open-heartedness. It's lizard DNA, cold-blooded. Then the limbic system is very emotional part of the brain. And that is, most of the brain is this conditioned response. So, somebody says, oh, I don't like social events. Well, you're just conditioned to be that way. Conditioning is you get it from your parents. I have the nose of my parents, the eyes of my parents, the lips of my mother. It's all, we get it from our parents. All of our tendencies come either in reaction to our parents or in favor of our parents, but it's all this conditioning. It's automatic. But one part of our brain right here called the prefrontal cortex, that's the part of the brain that has human DNA. It's the only part of you right up here that has something that's different from monkeys or lizards. And that's a part of us that can reason, that can communicate, that can actually hear another person's point of view. It's the part of our brain that can listen to the conditioned brain and say, that's not really going to work. We have to have a new plan. And that's called conscious evolution. You can change your destiny by being aware of that reactive tendency and step out of it through here. Now, when Buddha talked about nirvana, he was saying off of the wheel of samsara, the wheel of samsara, that's the reactivity. Gandhi said, an eye for an eye, this is monkey consciousness. If you hurt me, I will hurt you. That's the way the brain works at that level. Monkey see, monkey do. That's how we learn everything, watching our parents, feeling our parents, conscious or not. Then what happens is now we have these reactions. Somebody hurts us, the monkey says, I have to hurt you back. Somebody makes us feel bad, I need to make you feel bad. We argue, we fight, we're selfish, we're greedy, we don't think of other people. All those traits are monkey traits. But guess what? What Gandhi said, an eye for an eye, everyone will go blind. That was a leap in consciousness for the planet. And yet it's simple logic, isn't it? It's so simple when you use this part of the brain. If you hurt me and I just hurt you back, well, your family's going to hurt me back. And then we're going to hurt you back. The stupidest thing that ever Americans did, in my opinion, is when we believed that we were attacked at 9/11 by people in the Middle East. So we're going to start a war with the Middle East. We go and start, and Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with that war. He was actually a stabilizing element. but we want the oil there. So we're going to create an eye for an eye. And Americans were actually saying, we should bomb them. We should nuke them, because they were feeling threatened, and they were into the blame thing, an action, a reaction and a reaction. And then we created terrorism in the world. We created terrorism. It wasn't there. It was very small until we decided to do irrational behaviors. And most of the terrorists, just to know the facts of this, was Saddam Hussein's army, which all surrendered to us. And then we didn't keep them as an army, we fired them. So this is all of the hero men out of work. They make money by war. So they put a war on us in a way where they could hurt us back. That's all it is. It's I hurt you, you hurt me. We have to step out of that. In Christianity, it was the eye for an eye. It was turn the other cheek. It was forgiveness. It doesn't mean let people keep at you. It means don't fall to their level. As parents, don't go to your children's level. Don't react. Don't let them control how you feel. They don't have that power. You give them that power, and then they become little evil dictators. So don't do that. You've got the command voice. And then sometimes the command voice doesn't work, and a child will have emotional reactivity, and maybe you don't have time. You shouldn't spend more than 5 or 10 minutes at the most when a child has a tantrum, but you create the space for them to have it, understand it. And now we're going to go do something that's fun and enjoyable. It's done. We're not bringing it up, but sometimes they'll still resist you. Another one of my skills in my book, Children Are From Heaven, is time out. And that's become very, very popular for people, which is time out, which is, okay, but you need to first hear the children. You can't just do time out every time or it just becomes a punishment. You don't want it to be a punishment. You want to point out to them, all right, now, if you're not listening to me, then you're out of my control. I'm the boss here. I'm mom and dad. You're in my control. I'm responsible for you. So if you're not allowing me to be responsible, you need to take a time out and remember who's in control. And that will cause them to feel you're in control by they cannot do what they want to do for a short period of time. It doesn't take a long period of time. When they resist you, they just need to feel that resistance. And you're not directly feeding it by arguing with them, but instead you contain them in a spot. And then once they're contained, they will start to feel left out, and then they will start to feel their need for your love and affection. And as soon as they start to feel that need, then they will come back into balance and want to please you. So let me give you an example of how I first learned this. I used to teach, I've taught in prisons. I teach all the murderers and rapists and all those things. I have a different thing I teach for them. But I also teach children who are at risk of going to jail. These are teenagers, that age of 12 to 15, all right? These kids are bigger than me, and they've got dysfunctional families. Their role models are violent parents, so these are dangerous kids, and they're bigger than me. So I'm in there, I'm teaching them, and then there's one, he's the bully in the room. And he's not cooperating. He's not doing everything. And I said, I help understand. I know you don't want to be here, and this is not your thing, and you have to come be here. And I'm here because I want to help you have a better life, because you're on your way down the tubes. And why should you be that way? You haven't had a good role model. So I give some understanding. I let them know I understand where they're coming from. And what I want you to do is cooperate. I don't say I want you to listen to me. I say I want you to cooperate. I can't teach my class unless I have all participation. Will you do that? So I humble myself. Would you do that? And they go, why should I do that? I said, because that's how I can do this. We're here for a purpose, and I want your participation. Now I'm going to turn on my command voice. I've heard him. I said, okay, negotiation's over. I invite you to be here. But if you're not going to cooperate, then I want you to go into the other room. And you can't participate because you're disrupting. And the boy says to me, he's bigger than me. He's dangerous than me. To him, I look like a wimp. Okay. And so he says, what are you going to do about it if I don't? Well, I'm in the command voice now. No, negotiation's over. I'm not going to talk back to that. What can I say anyway? What am I going to do? Nothing I can do. I can tell your parents, what I'm going to do. I'm not going to answer that question. I'm the commander. I don't have to answer that. So I just simply said, this is where I learned to do it. I said, what are you going to do about it? I said, I want you to go into the other room. You're 13 years old for 13 minutes. After 13 minutes, I'll knock on the door and you can come out. If you don't come out, that's fine. If you want to come out, that's when you can come out. But you cannot come out before. And if you come out, it's to cooperate. And he said, I'm not going to do that. You can't make me do that. I want you to go into the other room right now. 13 minutes, you can come back out. Right now, I want you to do this. And even as he's arguing with me, and he is, and he's getting all upset, he's slowly walking towards the room. See, he knows at a deep level, I'm the authority figure. Deep inside children, they want to please the authority figure. But as soon as you get upset with them and come to their level, you're no longer the authority figure. See, it's very important that you don't let your emotions try to control your children or the threat of punishment. But at that point, timeout is another tool to use. And so the timeout there is, so he's arguing with me the whole way into the room, and he goes to the room and he slams the door. Now, most parents at that point might go, don't you slam that door. You can't do that. And he started making a bunch of noise while I was in there. Well, I just completely ignored him. He's not in this room. He's in there. Let him have his 13 minutes. I knocked on the door. He says, I'm not coming out. I said, okay, but you're welcome to come out when you're ready to cooperate. 5 minutes later, he comes out. No punishment, no threat. I'm going to tell your officers, no threat. You're going to go back to jail. No threat that you're going to get in trouble for this. He came back and he participated in the group. He was completely cooperative because I didn't stoop to his level. And that's what Gandhi did to gain independence of India. He stood there. We're not going to come to your level and shoot you back. It's unfortunate people got killed, but we're not going to stoop to your level. Nonviolent resistance. We're not this is what we have to do as parents. Nonviolent resistance. I'm the boss. We're going to do what I want. I'm bigger than you. And eventually when they get bigger, you've already trained them. Okay, that's the whole point of this. Now, some of you have got teenagers that are already bigger. And so what you have to do in that case is you take away freedoms. You take away money. You don't punish them or whip them or anything, but you take away money. That's where you still have control. You take away privileges. They can't get their motorcycle. They don't have the keys to that. They can't drive the car. And if they stay out too late, you don't punish them and say, oh, you can't go out at all. That's like really, they can say to their friends, yeah, my parents are awful. What you do is you say, well, you're supposed to be in by 12 o'clock at night. Now you have to earn my trust. You've lost it. Often kids will say to their parents, don't you trust me? Don't you trust me? And you should honestly, confidently say, no, of course I don't trust you. The day I trust you is the day that you're going to leave this house and you're on your own. You know, this is a process of you now have to earn my trust. You're a teenager now, and you're still not a grown person. Once you're a grown person, I trust you go out. Otherwise, you still need me to guide you. So I don't trust you to know everything that I know. I know better. You need to own that in a nice way. Not that you're saying you're bad, you're wrong, whatever, but you're the boss here. A benevolent boss, not a dysfunctional boss. I have some friends and they teach all this permissive parenting, and they hate it when I say, I'm the boss. How dare you be the boss? You know, you should be equal with your children. I go, no, they're not grown-ups yet. And when they're grown-ups, that's different. I'm not their boss, but as children, up till they leave the house, I'm still the bottom line. And not like I'm the tyrant, you have to do what I want. You're benevolent. You appreciate them, you help them, you support them, you hear them, but you manage everything. And you say, we take turns, we're a family, we care, and you do things for your children. You practice conversations at the dinner table, no electronics at the dinner table, none. And no more than like 20 or 30 minutes playing games in a day with these addictive little toys that people have. They should play board games. They should play physical games, participation games. Everything online is too much. It overstimulates the addictive part of the brain, which then creates more inability to delay gratification. We want things right away, right away, right away. That inhibits our creativity and our ability to be happy and fulfilled. It makes us more demanding. I mean, the world has changed so much. In many ways, it's wonderful, but at the same time, it changes the brain where the brain can't tolerate delayed gratification. That's why emotional intelligence can help us with that. But at the same time, you can have all the emotional intelligence in the world and you take cocaine, you've just lost 30% of your brain's ability to be happy. Let me say that again. This is science. You can measure in the brain something called dopamine function. When you're feeling happy and well-being and energized, your dopamine levels are at a certain level of functioning. If you take cocaine, for example, or any addictive substance, your dopamine levels shoot really high. And when they go really high, then what happens is your brain changes right away. It went really high dopamine, you feel enormous pleasure, that was so exciting. Then what happens is for dopamine to work, it has to go into these things called little receptor sites, neurons, receptor sites. So the dopamine, think of it simply, Dopamine goes into the receptor site and you go, ooh, I feel good. And then dopamine comes out of the receptor site, so you want to do that thing again. Imagine if it just stayed there. I did something good. Now I feel good. I won't do anything again. So dopamine motivates us because it gives us a taste, takes it away, and then we have to earn it again and earn it again. So that's dopamine. Now, if you take cocaine, you didn't have to do anything. So now you're lazy. You just take your cocaine and it produces dopamine, but it produces so much dopamine that the brain says that's too much. So the receptor sites close down like little flowers. Now, normal stimulation doesn't make us happy. We're dependent upon the higher stimulation. So as soon as you start being addicted to yelling, complaining, to drugs, to alcohol, or to internet porn, and internet porn is cocaine. As soon as that happens, what's going to occur is you get a big, huge amount of dopamine. These receptor sites close down, and now normal stimulation cannot fulfill you. So many men, for example, lose interest in their wives because they go online and they do porn, because porn stimulates more dopamine than a real person can. Playing a video game produces more dopamine than playing with people. So playing with people, interacting with people is boring, not so interesting. See, excitement is dopamine. As soon as you have a big surge of dopamine, then the receptor sites close down. Let me give you an example of this. If I was to go outside right now and to the bright light of the sunshine, instantly my pupils will constrict. Then if I was to go into a dark room or a normal light room, it will look very dark until my pupils begin to open up and I can let the light in that room be enough. So when you have cocaine or an addictive substance, it constricts your ability to be happy by normal things. And it takes a while of relaxing, and then your receptor sites will come up. So the answer to this plague of kids that have to have it now, temper tantrums, whatever, is going from intensity to easy things, relaxing things, group things, singing, dancing, reading books, not TV, not video. When you read books, basically receptor sites start to open up, or if somebody's reading to you. But if you're having a recording read to you, it's different from having a person read to you. Let me give another example of this. See, people have energy fields, and it's being in the energy field that produces the healing effect. That the computer screen doesn't have that. It doesn't, you can learn a lot on computers right now. We're learning a lot, great. But actually you can't replace people with images of people. You also have this other need. So they did studies on children. We have a station here called Sesame Street that educates children at a young age with little puppets and fun and games where they learn how to go 1 + 1 is 2. They learn how to identify words, and they learn their basic skills on TV. And they tested the kids. How much did they learn in a session with Sesame Street? Then they tested the kids when the mother or father was sitting quietly by the child, just by the child, quietly. The child learned much, much more because the parent was there also noticing what they knew. You see, so much of what we know, we get just from the energetic field of being with the parent. I'll give you an example of that, playing tennis. I'm not that great at tennis, but I have a tennis coach. And when I play with my tennis coach, he says, you're so good, you should be a pro. But if I play with my friends who are not very good, then I become not very good. It's called a principle in science called resonance. And we resonate with each other.